Hello there, my friend. Welcome back. My name is Gavin. Welcome to another, usually it would be like a true crime video, but today we're doing an Ask Me Anything. You'll notice that it is not an Ask Scott Me Anything. We don't want to overdo that, right? We did an Ask Scott Me Anything. I think that was the last time we did it with 100,000 subscribers. Maybe we will make that a tradition that every 100,000 subscribers we will do an Ask Scott Me Anything. I've been gone for about a week. I tried to set everything up so that I could live stream while I was on a vacation. Not really. I mean, I was working, so it's not really a vacation. Let's just say a trip back home to visit the old parentals and to touch base with friends that I haven't seen in years and years. In one case, it had been more than 20 years. And boy, was that healing. It was healing. So good. And I continue down the path of my my post-midlife crisis. I turned 50 earlier this month, and I gotta say, there are a couple things that I've learned about myself. Okay, number one, I should have known these already. That's not number one. Number one is this. I'm just a really sentimental guy. I'm just very sentimental. I really take after my dad in a lot of ways. The people in my life, especially my close friends, are extremely important to me, and I miss them. And I think, though, with this past trip, I am now in touch with almost everybody that I want to be in touch with. There's one left, and I'm working on it. I'm working on it. We'll get there. I don't know. I have 2 mugs of water with me today. I figured that once I was finished with one, I could just move on to the other. And it's funny because they have, like, this one has a different design over here, just one more episode, right? That came from the Cluvelta commercial. But it has the Gavin fish on this side, and then the dill hole is on this side, so I can do that. Anyway, so if you see different mugs reaching up, that is the reason. I get parched from all this talking, and gotta use my merch cups. If you don't know what a dill hole is, go to my website, gavinfish.com. Check it out. It's there. All right. So burying the lead here, a couple things. If you have a question for me, please put GF in the comments so that I know. Basically, it alerts me on this side. It highlights anything that says GF. And so that helps me to find your questions. We will go till there are no more questions. I think that because I've been offline for so long, I think this is going to be a pretty intimate setting. Looks like there's less than 80 of us together right now. And that's going to be terrific because it won't go on and on and on as long as we kind of move through these things. Okay. I see some highlights. So I did notice that Robin started us off strong with a couple of questions. So let's get our intrepid moderator's questions out of the way real quick. Not out of the way as in they're unimportant. Just let's move along, fish. Let's do this. What does Kimberly really feel about your long hair? She's supportive. She's very supportive. She thinks that I'm going to keep it. And I mean, I'm starting to get to the length where like I can tuck my hair behind my ears and I can put it in a ponytail, like get it up off of my neck. And we're also getting into cooler weather where it's not so hot. I personally am still at the place where as soon as I get to that 12-inch mark, I want to cut off my hair. However, I also don't want to be bald. So we might go a little bit longer so that when I do cut my hair, I will have a regular haircut. That reminds me. Not sure that I have it handy. Do I have it handy? I don't. Put it away somewhere. Um, when I went to Argentina as a missionary, my friend Matt decided that he was going to keep his hair. He was not going to cut his hair the entire 2 years that I was gone. And I found a picture because, again, I'm on this nostalgia trip, right? I found a picture of him where when I came home, I cut his hair off, and it was nice and long. So it kind of feels fun. Uh, all right, Robin, we're gonna give you the other one. What accomplishment are you most proud of in your life, or two or three accomplishments? I don't know that I'm that accomplished of a person. Um, yeah, I guess I've never done anything that would make my wife um, second guess her decision to marry me. Like I've always treated that relationship sacred. Of course, I have. You guys don't see it very often because we talk about crime, but I am not a somber like I'm not a somber person. Most people who know me on a personal level know me as a funny person, as a tease, as someone who likes to get a laugh. So yeah, I like to bring happiness to my family, and I have never done anything that has made my wife go, why'd I do this? That's one. Um, our children all know that we love them. They all know that I love them. I say it all the time. I want them to never question that. I like that accomplishment. Um, Other than that, I'm not really all that accomplished. I'm just kind of a normal guy going about doing my regular everyday thing, and that's a good thing for me. That's a really good thing for me. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't satisfy, but that's kind of how I feel. Mooney said, "What places did I visit in California?" So I hail from the thriving metropolis of Orangevale, California. Orangevale is a town, at least it was when we left, of about 30,000 people. It's a suburb of Sacramento. It is a beautiful place, an ideal place to grow up. I so and my folks are still living in the same place that they've lived in. We lived in two houses in Orangevale, one until I was in 8th grade, and then the other one was bought right before ninth grade, or somewhere around in ninth grade. I can't remember specifically. Now that I think about it, I think it was about September, but it doesn't matter, ninth grade. And they are still in that house. So when I went back to visit the old homestead, it is it is the old homestead. While I was there, I went and visited a lot of my uh, family all throughout the Sacramento Valley. I visited some high school friends. A couple of us got together for dinner, which was really fun. Just kind of shooting the breeze. That was really fun. One of my friends who is he's the guy that embarrassingly I hadn't been in touch with for 20 years. He and his wife and I went out to dinner on my birthday, and I tried to I tried to hide the fact that it was my birthday, but he remembered. And we went out to Folsom, got some dinner, got some dessert and an ice cream place, and had a really good time. Other than that, I mean, that really what I was there to do is visit my mom and dad, and specifically my dad. Um, Obviously, my mom and dad are like conjoined, so I maximized that. Oh, and my little sister and her family are out there too. So spent a lot of time with my little sis, who you guys might get to know over in the fish tank. By the way, her name's Tiff, and yeah, just it was very relaxing. Other than getting up at way too early in the morning because I had to hit my 8 a.m. shift on the East Coast. So every day I worked, and yeah, I've one more friend that I'm reaching out to that I hope I'll be able to connect with one of these days. So yeah, so that took me all the way up to like Georgetown, Placerville, Auburn, not Auburn. Uh, let's see. As high as I went was up into the Sierra. On the 50 side was Georgetown, Placerville, El Dorado Hills, um, Folsom. On the 80 side, I went out to Loomis. In the valley, I spent time in Sacramento and Carmichael and Orangevale. I really didn't leave the area. Melissa, hello. Um, in my opinion, hello from southeastern Kentucky. Love you and your show. Happy belated. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Susan Lewis, most importantly, how does it feel to be half a century old? And please remember, this comes from someone who is nearly 7 years older than you are. Susan, I have not done well with turning 50. Like I've joked about it, but I've been having what I am referring to as a post midlife crisis. I have not done well, but I think it's because the sentimentality, and it boils down to um, it boiled down to um, there were four people who were very, very important to me in my youth, starting at about my junior year in high school and going all the way up into my mid 20s, not my mid 20s, early 20s. It's before I met Kimberly, um, and two of them are gone. Both died of cancer, and that's pretty heartbreaking. And the other two, I realized I was out of touch with. And for a sentimental old geezer like me, that like I hadn't thought about it, and it really hit me. It really hurt. So I have not enjoyed turning 50. I'm not. I'm like not depressed. I'm happy. I've got a really happy life. It just kind of hit me hard. And I mean, I did connect with my buddy, which was just awesome. Um, yeah, just awesome. And that was like medicine for me. Going and hanging with my parents was medicinal as well. Felt really good. Um, uh, but yeah, I think there will always be something missing for me until I am able to be in touch with my final friend. And what's really funny is that I think they live in Folsom, so I was really close. I was there, but yeah, I hope that you had. I don't know what um, your experience was turning 50, but mine has not been enjoyable. However, I will say this. Oh, dude, like, can I show you something? Let's see. Don't don't want to show you. So, as I've been going through my old things because I've been in this nostalgic funk, I found three envelopes. I'm going to just cover the addresses here real quick. Three envelopes, and the there's the third one. The postmark, the earliest one is the 29th of June 1987, and then the 8th of July 1987, and the 21st of July 1987. And these are all letters after my 6th grade year. I wrote to my teacher apparently 4 times, because there's 2 letters in one of these. And he responded back on all 4 letters. And that was fun to read. I'm sure my dad kept these for me and put them in a box that I like discovered today. and and boy, it felt good to read those. It was cute how he wrote to, an 11-year-old, and um, so I reached out to him. He and I have been in contact ever since. Uh, and I remember in sixth grade, he made a promise to all of us that if, like, on the day that we graduated from college, we could call him and he would take us out to dinner. And I thought that that was unfair because I had an extra 2 years in my plan before graduating from college, because my plan was to go on a mission from a very young age. And so I raised my hand and I said, Mr. Bales, that isn't fair. Me and a couple of other guys in here, we're probably going to go on missions. And how come we have to wait an extra 2 years? And he said, for you guys, when you come home from your mission, reach out and I'll take you to dinner. And that had stuck with me forever. My little sister arranged that so that just a couple days after I got home from Argentina, I went down to the Bay Area with her and went to dinner with my old sixth grade teacher. It was anyway. Those were fun to find as I've been as I've been struggling with my sentiment, I guess. But yeah, okay. Let's see. Robin says we need a PIST mug. That is a good point. We do need a PIST mug. Oh, by the way, Kel has gotten us a design for cutting through fluff and sensationalism that we got to get up there too. Um, Autumn, who was my celebrity crush growing up? There was only one. There was only one. Um, Jennifer Connelly. Jennifer Connelly. Yeah, Jennifer Connelly. Beautiful woman. Mooney says she forgot the GF. Okay. I see it. What places would you recommend for a new to California adventurous traveler to visit? So, wow, that is a good question. I know Northern California way better than I know Southern California. I know Central California pretty darn well, especially the Central Coast. So I can't give you very many tips on Southern California. I've done business down there, and as a kid, I went to Disneyland and to Knott's Berry Farm and stuff like that down there. But for Northern California and Central California, I would say you should not miss Santa Barbara. That just to be there. Now, keep in mind that I'm not a touristy kind of guy. I've been all over the world. I don't do touristy things. Not very often anyway. So for me, it's about the experience of being wherever it is that I am. Uh, you you shouldn't miss, not Santa Barbara. I'm sorry, San Luis Obispo, which is just kills me to say it that way, but that's how people say it. San Luis Obispo. Don't miss Slow. It is a beautiful spot. Um, There are beautiful spots along the coast, like Sea Ranch is a good one. We used to go camping down on Dillon Beach near Petaluma. The Bay Area is always fun and adventurous. The North Bay, like Stinson Beach, and I think that's San Ramon, is a nice place. When I go down to the Bay Area, there are a couple places that I like to go. I like to go to Moraga to just drive on St. Mary's campus. It's a beautiful little campus. I had a friend who went there. My friend who passed away went there. And I have fun memories of going down and visiting him. I think that as you go down into the central mountain range, definitely Yosemite is something that you don't want to miss. A lot of people pronounce that Yosemite. It is Yosemite. Um, and then if you're a true crime aficionado, Lake Berryessa, which is not far outside of Sacramento. It's pretty far, but it's like that used to be one that I would go fly over. I would take off at a Rancho Murrieta and just go and kind of go to Lake Berryessa and back. It's a beautiful spot. Beautiful spot. Good stuff. Robin said, "My beautiful bald husband says it's okay to be bald." Well, yes, if you'll remember, I shaved my head in solidarity with my dad during his chemo treatment back in the day, and thus I'm doing this to go full circle. Meredith is currently watching Ellen's documentary. I'm glad. I am glad. Let's Talk Disability says, "Welcome back. I am glad to be here. Thank you." Texas Surfer 65, being normal in this crazy world is an accomplishment. Thank you. Robin says, "I never ask a question with a preconceived idea of what an answer would be. Your answers are great." Let me think about the accomplishment thing. Let me think about that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more important to me than Kimberly and the children. I did accomplish one thing, but it ended up terribly. But in business, I was the first, I should say, my team and I were the first. I led a team we were the very first to go back to back to back on $1 million plus crowdfunding campaigns. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was cool. Yeah, I got nothing for you. Susan Lewis says, "The crime reporter, pilot, drone flyer, multilingual, all around nice guy." Yeah, no accomplishments there. I do speak multiple languages. I am a pilot. I am a reporter. Um, you know, maybe the reason that I don't feel all that accomplished is that I really am a jack of all trades. I have a lot of interests, and I tend to do them all. Like photography for me is one that I really love. And I was talking with my buddy about this. So I had this really unique opportunity when I was a teenager. First off, in the high school that I went to, which was Casa Roble Fundamental High School in Orangevale, California, it was known, it is known nationwide for three things, or was back then. Number one was we were a baseball school. Every year we had alumni that were drafted into the major leagues. I have multiple friends who are retired from the major leagues. So that's pretty cool. Number two is we had a terrific yearbook program. And the yearbook program it was nationally recognized. We were gold medal winners in journalism and photography. And then the third thing is the photo lab was second to none. Our teacher, a man named Alan Thorner, who's still with us and a terrific guy, ran an amazing program. And I was, because of my older brother, really, it's because who I was related to, I was allowed to do that from my freshman year, which was not a thing. Everybody had to wait till their sophomore year to start photo. I got to start from my freshman year. And so I did photo one freshman year, photo two sophomore year. There was no photo three, but I had an independent study with Mr. Thorner, and he had a friend named Vince Arendt. I actually think I think it was between sophomore and junior year. So at the end of sophomore year, a man named Vince Arendt came in and spoke to us, and Vince was Ansel Adams' lab tech, one of them. So pretty much any of the of the compositions. I'm going to call them compositions because they're not photographs. They're multiple photographs, all of them almost, of all the compositions that Ansel Adams did. It was most likely that Vince is the guy in the lab who developed them. So, and he lived in Carmichael, California. So I think it was at the end of my sophomore year, Vince came in to, you know, to just talk to us. And it was kind of an ask me anything with Vince. And at the end of that, he invited me and a friend of mine to his house, which is where his lab was. And Vince by that time was probably 85 years old. At least he seemed that way. He was an old man. He did amazing work for museums, for the Smithsonian, things like that. Well, anyway, I got to learn in his lab under him for a summer. And so junior year when I did independent study, then I was really advanced for this is like the old school lab work, right? Developing film, developing paper. And then my senior year, I was recruited into the yearbook where, again, nationally ranked yearbook program where I got to really hone my skills, mostly in portraiture. And so, yeah, if you were to come to my home, excuse me, if you were to come to my home, I am an excellent portrait photographer, and you would see my work throughout the house. I'm a pretty good landscape photographer, but I'm an excellent portrait photographer, and I'm pretty proud of that. So that's something that I love, and I mean I feel pretty accomplished. There are certainly lots of people who are better than me. Probably people that are watching right now are better than me. But one, I'm a very good portrait photographer, and I'm very good in a lab. I haven't had a lab for a long time, but I think we're going to build one in this house. I want one in this house. I'm ready to get back into the analog domain of photography. And I actually have a lot of equipment at my parents' house. So when we go back, I think I'm going to have to drive home with all my stuff. Okay. So yeah. But yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. I got sidetracked there. There are just so many things that I love. And so I tend not to excel at most of them because my I get distracted by other things. Diane Crawford, what states have you lived in so far in your life? I have lived in Utah, Nevada, California, and Pennsylvania. Countries I've lived in are the United States and Argentina. States that I've visited, I think I counted was 42. Countries, I remember counting this, and now I can't remember. It's like 60 something, probably countries. But yeah, I've just lived in the 4 states. And Pennsylvania was a choice because we had been in the West for so long. We wanted an adventure. Garth B. Nutt. The make and model of my first car was a 1986 Toyota Supra. It was the first year of that it was not the Celica Supra, and if it was 1 year later, it would have been the Turbo Supra. Mine had an inline 6-cylinder motor that was, I can't remember exactly. It must have been it was big for a 6-cylinder. It was, I don't know. I could look it up. Let's see. 1986 Toyota Supra engine size. Oh, it's not that big. It's a 3 liter. Yeah, 3 liter inline 6, and that car could scream. It was a race car. It was awesome. I bought it from my brother-in-law and sister. It just wasn't a good family car for them. And that was in 1997 because I didn't get my first car. It didn't make sense to buy a car if I was saving up to go on a mission. And so I never bought a car. My parents provided me with one, and that was a 1993 Ford Festiva. That is the car that I drove before I went to Argentina. And when I got back, I drove the Supra. Funny story about that. I was talking to my parents about this because here's the thing. When my parents had a couple of rules, okay? The first one was, I think the first one was we had to have a 3.0 GPA, that was fine. The second one was for us boys, which there are three, I'm the youngest of three, we had to have our Eagle Scout. And if we didn't have those two things, we could not get our driver's license. Now, both of my older brothers, I think my oldest brother got his at the earliest age. He was like on his 15th birthday or something like that, on his Eagle Scout, though he never had the grades. My second brother both got his Eagle Scout and I think probably had the grades, but he didn't get his Eagle Scout until right before he turned 18. I just rebelled and was like, I don't like scouts. I I didn't like it. So I rebelled, which meant didn't matter what my GPA was, I wasn't getting my license. And as I was talking with my buddy and talking with my parents, I drove so many people's cars. So many people's cars all the time. Teachers in high school would loan me their car to go on an errand for them. I think they just assumed that I had my license. Um, so many girls that like, I don't know, they were just pushovers, and I was a good driver. Because I learned to drive like I don't even remember when I learned to drive. I just remember always being on tractors, always being in pickup trucks, always being on motorcycles and three wheelers and snowmobiles. So I don't remember learning to drive. Um, but anyway, I did a lot of driving other people's cars. Funny enough, the coolest car I thought in our high school parking lot. Again, I'm going back to nostalgia here. Well, you talked about my first car, so I'm totally being nostalgic here. But the coolest car in the parking lot in, you know, 1993 belongs to the friend that I have not seen in 30 years. That car was a 1991 Ford Mustang LX convertible, and it was white and it was beautiful. It was one of the last years of the Fox body style because I think the new body style came out in 94. That car was the only car that I did not drive because my friend said that daddy would commit murder if I did. So drove a lot of cars before the old Ford Festiva, a lot of cars before the Toyota Supra. That Supra's name was Ed. I always name my cars. I don't know if you guys do that. Um, yeah, I'm curious. Put in the comments the names of your cars. Let me tell you a couple of mine. Okay. Squid was the 93 Festiva. Ed was the 86 Supra. The next car I got, oh no, I had an Infiniti G20, and I don't remember the name of that car. It had a name. And then I got Gus. Gus was a 98 Ford Ranger pickup that I bought new. Um, I've had Hank, which was a 1980 Jeep Wagoneer that we lifted. He was Hank the Man Truck. I've had Fabio. He was my brand spanking new 2004 Ford F-150 Super Crew Lariat. I called him Fabio because he was just beautiful to look at, but also manly. I've had so many cars, so many cars. Guntevent was the first BMW we ever owned. Um, Brigitte was another BMW that we owned. Bonnie was another BMW that we owned. We currently have one that a little X1 that his name is Wilhelm. So I always name the cars. Sarah says, your trip home sounds like an amazing time. Glad you got to see family and friends for your birthday. Thank you. It was. It was awesome. Yes, I'm not doing well with 50. I probably will be over it by the time I turn 59, and then I'll be turning 60. That's funny. Um, this is a good comment. I know how you feel, Gavin. I get like that with each kind of milestone age with my kids and having our 20th wedding anniversary. Sentimental isn't bad, but it can be tough. Yeah, it's not sadness. It's just, I think it's grief. And you have to go through the stages, you know. Texas Surfer says, Gavin, it is sobering to realize you have lived more than half your life than you have left to live. Yeah, it is. It was for me. It has been for me. The silver lining for me is that I am exactly 25 days older than Kimberly. So for 25 days, I am married to a younger woman, and she's married to an older man. I think it's funny for some reason. I don't know. Um, okay. Wow. A lot came in. Just refreshed. Susan said at 50, I was so busy taking care of my ailing mother and working a full-time job, I didn't have time to appreciate it. Yeah, life does get in the way sometimes. Robin says that my backlight needs to be fixed. Yeah, I just left it white, Robin. Man. Um, Autumn, Jennifer looks like your wife. Oh, I have a type. 100%. Okay? They have to be taller than average. Brunette. Eye color doesn't matter to me. But I don't know. I just like fair skin, I guess. Like I just really like light fair skin, like the kind that you get a sunburn by like walking to the mailbox kind of skin. And I love how like Jennifer Connelly is a perfect example of this. She just stands really tall with her shoulders back. She just has an air of confidence about her, right? And the first time I saw Kimberly, that's exactly what I noted. That's exactly what I noticed. And it had been 4 years, 4.5 years, probably between um, between having that experience. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot lately, but yeah, that like she walked in the room and she was tall, her shoulders were back, her chin was up. She knew exactly who she was, and yeah, brown hair, beautiful face, light complexion. I got a type. I got a type for sure. Um, Robin used to live in Walnut Creek when she was in middle school. Him, you weren't even born, just saying. How about writing Bart? That's an eye opener. Yeah, Bart is an eye opener for sure. Yeah, Walnut Creek is. I have some fun memories down in that area. Uh, that is where well, that's where the family of my friend Danny were from. That whole, I don't know what you call that, north of the Bay area. I don't know. Walnut Creek, Concord, Moraga, places on I guess, the north side of the Oakland Hills. Um, spent, I spent a lot of time down there. I had a friend who had a family cabin in Danville, which was a little farther north, that we used to go water skiing on the Sacramento Delta. So yeah, I love Walnut Creek. It's a beautiful place. A place to visit in California is the Indian Grinding Rock State Historic Park. It's so amazing. I'll never forget my visit there. Let me let me look that up. Indian Grinding Rock in Pine Grove. Let's see where Pine Grove is. Okay, so yeah, okay. So in the foothills of the El Dorado National Forest, northwest of San Francisco. Yeah, so a place that is exactly like that where I am from is Coloma, California, that have those same holes in the rocks like that. Yeah, that's interesting. Those are so fun. That is beautiful. Thanks for sharing that with me. I have never been there. Out in that area, I've been to like Moaning Caverns and uh, California Caverns and that sort of place, but I've never been to that park. Great. Um, Tina says, I think we can all agree it's obvious you enjoy being a father. What's your favorite part of being a father? Wow. I think my favorite part is probably holding a baby. I, yeah, they grow up. Have you guys noticed that? They grow up. But you watch your kiddos do hard things and sometimes fail, sometimes not. Oftentimes they completely overcome something that you yourself were not able to overcome when you were their age, and it's satisfying. There's there's nothing better than that, I guess. That's way better than holding a baby, but oh my goodness, I've always loved babies. Laura Liz, glad you are here. This isn't a question, but your hair is really looking nice. It got past the awkward preteen stage. Well, thank you. It has not had any styling done whatsoever. I had my barber back in Orangevale. It was so good to go into my old barber shop, clean up around the edges, but I almost feel like I should have some sort of style done to it in order to be able to last long enough to get to the 12 and a half inches. Right now, it's just hanging. Um, I'm doing my best. If you could go back in life and change one thing, would you? If so, what is it? No, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. Um, I don't know that I want to. Hold on. I don't want to out anybody from my past because they didn't sign up for this, right? I signed up to live stream and be on YouTube, but they didn't. But so I'm going to anonymize this the best I can, recognizing that I'm happy with the way things turned out. I do not care for the emotion of regret. To me, it's as useless as jealousy. And so I strive not to have regrets. My dad was saying that he wished he would have been kinder to his mother when he was a teenager. But that his mother, when he confessed that in her later years, she didn't remember him ever being unkind. But yes, I just want to anonymize this as best I can here. I was a person who was, um, I was a child and a young man who I think I had little above average intelligence, things tended to come easy for me. I don't know that I was super smart or anything, but things tended to come easy for me. And because they did, it was difficult. It was difficult emotionally on me for the few things that didn't come easy to me that I really wanted to excel at. And what I developed in the defense mechanism was just an avoidance of those difficult things. And so I was really a coward about a lot of things, not in general, but about some things. I was really cowardly. And I didn't learn until way later, way too late, that it's okay to lose. And it's okay. And those losing experiences are opportunities for growth that you otherwise wouldn't have. And by avoiding hard things where I might lose, I'm thinking of like winning and losing, but like I might lose a friend, or I might lose an opportunity. I would just avoid being that friend or going after that opportunity. I mean, I was just absolutely paralyzed at the idea of applying for colleges because I knew that I wouldn't get into most of the ones that I applied to, and that I just couldn't handle it. So if there was one thing I would go back, change in life, and right now I'm specifically thinking of friends. I would have told the first girl that I loved her early and been willing to take the hit if she didn't reciprocate. And when I finally worked up the nerve, it was kind of too late. She did reciprocate, but I was going away and I was going to be gone for years. So I wish that I would have done that earlier. I also wish that I would have, and it's going to sound like I was some sort of player, which I wasn't, but I had, there were lots of girls that I dated. Some of them I dated exclusively. All of them I am in touch with except her. And I think that had I done that earlier, that process would have run its course and we would have remained friends like I am with everybody, like I am with all of them. And which there aren't that many, come on. But yeah. And then I still would have gone on my mission. I still would have come home. She would have moved on and I would have met Kimberly and it all would have been great. So yeah, I think it's okay to express your feelings. I think I do a good job of that now, but I did not back then. And so do I regret it? I mean, I have to extend myself a little bit of grace, right? I was a stupid kid, really afraid of rejection. So I understand why I behaved the way I did. So I don't regret it, I guess. But I wish I could change that. Yeah, kind of a somber answer. Robin, you realize that in your stories you are sharing amazing and important accomplishments? Thank you. They just seem like life to me. There are some important ones. All of the kiddos are, I mean, they're not my accomplishment. They are their own accomplishment, but I sure am proud of them. What major lessons do you want your children to remember after you're no longer on this earth? I have no desire to have any kind of legacy. I feel like that's a waste of energy. So I don't really care. I do want them to remember, though, that their dad loved them. That is too many people, and I've shared before that I just won the family lottery the day I was born. Mom and dad were and are awesome. My 3 siblings the day I was born, awesome. My 4th joined later, awesome. But maybe the best gift I ever got from my family was just the gift of knowing that I was loved, I was valued, and that's all I care for my children to know. Yeah. My lowest grade in college was a science of photography class, but it was physics based. We never got to pick up a camera. Well, that's interesting. I would love to hear about a physics-based photography class. Wow. Very interesting, Susan. My dad, by the way, while I was there, gifted me some old cameras that I really love. So, I've got more film cameras in the old photography library, which is already pretty darn vast. I collected way too many cameras over the years. Cynthia says 50 doesn't hurt if you say it really fast. This coming from one who will be 74 on Halloween. I asked my mom how she did on her 50th, because I'm obviously moping around right now, guys, and that they can tell. And I asked her how she felt on her 50th, and she said, no, it was just another birthday. 70, though, that was tough. So I guess we all probably have this kind of experience, right? Cakes boo. I don't know. Let's see. Donna Barnes bringing us back to crime. Bringing us to crime the first time tonight. Do you think there will be an arrest in beautiful Ellen Greenberg's case? I think it's possible with the right prosecutor. And I don't want to lose hope of that, so I'm not going to finish that sentence. I think it's possible. And I hope it happens. And when it happens, I hope that I get a heads up so that I can be 50 yards away. I was going to say with a camera, but I don't care about that. I just want to watch it happen. But yeah. Cakes Boo, my favorite band. Wow. My favorite band. Well, my favorite album ever is Rumors, which is Fleetwood Mac. But that's everybody's favorite album. It's the best album ever created. It's amazing. But I don't think I'd make Fleetwood Mac my favorite band. My second favorite album of all time is Abbey Road. I love the, what do they call that? I love the medley on side B of Abbey Road. The You Never Give Me Your Money, Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight, that whole medley that goes basically through the back side, the B side of Abbey Road, is amazing. I think the Beatles are probably my most influential band. But favorite band? That's tough. I can't come up with one. I'll give you a list, though. Okay. I love Heart. Ann and Nancy Wilson are my heroes. I love them. I love ZZ Top. I love that those 3 guys. what is it? Billy Gibbons, Billy, Dusty, and Frank, Dusty Hill, Frank Beard, stayed together. I mean, it was had to be over 50 years until Frank Beard's death. That's pretty amazing. Um, I loved REM growing up. I loved OMD growing up. In fact, I went through a whole phase that was like um, Depeche Mode, Pet Shop Boys, Yazoo, OMD. Um, what am I missing there? Erasure, in the late 80s, early 90s that I just really loved. But these days I listen mostly to stuff like I listen to Creedence a lot. I listen to what's his name? Doctor My Eyes. Why am I blanking on his name? Doesn't matter. I listen to Joni Mitchell a lot. I listen to the Beatles quite a bit. I listen to oh, have you guys ever heard what is his name that sings Doctor My Eyes? Uh oh, I almost had it. Doctor My Eyes. Oh, Jackson Brown. Thank you. Have you ever heard Jackson Brown's um well, I've been out walking. I don't do too much talking these days. Oh, yeah, it's called These Days. Oh, that kills me. It's so good. Um, and and I like the Who. Um, I'm really in a Doobie Brothers phase right now, pre Michael McDonald Doobie. So yeah, and then I really love Billie Holiday, and I really love Louis Jordan, Ray Charles. I love. Um, and that Louis Jordan stuff, that's from like the 30s, and I just love it. So I've got a broad range. I grew up really, really uh, deeply surrounded by and involved in musical theater. So for example, Benny and Bjorn from ABBA, they have an amazing repertoire of theater compositions. My favorite being Chess, which is just freaking fantastic. So yeah, I have a broad range of musical interests. And I mean, I don't think like back in the day I liked Guns N' Roses and I like Bon Jovi, I like Bruce Springsteen. Um, kind of that. I liked the hair bands. I liked Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister, um, Motley Crue. I don't know. I've got a broad array of music that I like. Um, I like music that is made with actual instruments. And there's something to be said about programmatic things too, right? I mean, the Beatles were using the Moog in the early days, or the Moog, sorry, in the early days, and um, so that was cutting edge. It was still analog, but it's still cutting edge synthesizers. Um, oh, dude, you can't forget Hall and Oates. If you ever just want to understand the blues, but it's wrapped in a um, it's wrapped in a pop shell. Hall and Oates, you can't go wrong with. And then like when you're talking about the blues, Keb Mo, oh, oh, so good, right? So yeah, it's really broad. I guess I don't have a favorite band. I wish I did. Aerosmith and Tom Petty I've been listening to a lot lately. I think Tom Petty actually saved my life. Back back in the day, this was 2006, 2007, moving into 2008. Uh, I was really having a hard time. I had failed at a business, and it was rough. And I would listen to Tom Petty "Won't Back Down" on repeat, day in and day out, as I just hustled to try to support my family. So Tom Petty actually did. He saved my life. He kept me going. Um, in my opinion, says Gavin, have you ever been to southeastern Kentucky? Do you plan on meeting up with Elizabeth from Hillbilly Crime? I enjoy watching both of you. Where have I been in Kentucky? Probably just Louisville. So I would love to go down to Letcher County and hang out with Elizabeth. Bev, I wish you would cover the David Celeste Hernandez case. It's on the docket. It's on the docket, Bev. We will do it. We will do it. Laura Liz, fellow Yinzer here. I'm an adopted Yinzer. How's your journey going with the PA Prison Board? It's going great. I've done 2 trainings before I left on my vacation, and I've done some reports and stuff like that. So actually, I did 3 trainings. One was virtual, and then 2 in prisons. So yeah, it's going really well, and I proudly carry my my prison society, official prison visitor card with me everywhere I go. Right there with this one's my UAV license because that's really kind of all I'm flying these days. I meant to get out to Rancho Murrieta and do a check ride because I need to get current before my next flight. I guess I'll have to do that out here. But thanks for asking. Mooney says Chug-a-Boom was my old Jeep Wagoneer. Ours was named Hank the Man Truck. We lifted him, so he was more of a truck than a wagon. We lifted him, put big tires on him. Yeah, he was a good boy. Chug-a-Boom. Pamela says, I'm 59 and my 50s have been the best of life so far. Hey, listen, I am the kind of person that, and Pamela, thank you for that comment. You just reminded me. I'm the kind of person that I do well when there's pressure on me, when everybody knows what I'm doing, and I can't fail because we've already talked about my fear of failure. I cannot fail. And so sometimes when I do important things, I don't want people to know that I'm doing them because then they won't know if I fail. But I have decided that I don't like Fat Gavin anymore. I'm using this turning 50 post midlife crisis into motivation to not be Fat Gavin anymore. And yeah, I've now, I'm losing weight, I'm exercising. I want to be roughly Gavin when Gavin and Kimberly got married. By the way, I just found this going through old stuff. There we were engaged all those years ago with my little spectacles, and I was playing soccer a lot back then. Yeah. Thus the soccer jersey that I was wearing. I think I just wore that because I liked the colors. But yeah, I want to be that Gavin again. So I'm working on it, and I don't know if you want to join me. Maybe we can do like a little Oprah style weight loss journey together. That'd be fun. So now you all know. So now I can't fail, and I'm actually doing very well so far. Mooney says the way I look at it is that I become more retrospective as I age. Yeah. Celeste, we have the same car, and I'm also in PA, but right by Pittsburgh. All right. Porcelain skin. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Bev, I will do that. Robin says Cupertino, Alameda, San Jose. Yep. Pamela, you live in Roseville. Oh my goodness. Speaking of a Sacramento kid, right? Where was my favorite place to live so far? I've liked them all. As long as I'm with Kimberly, I'm happy. I am kind of feeling called back to Northern California right now, but it might just be kind of everything else that's going on too, you know? Um, yeah, I don't know. There, I really love the house we live in. That's pretty fun. That's really fun, the house we live in. But my favorite place to live, they're all pretty great. I Such a vanilla answer, but yeah. Maybe someday we will live back in California. Kimberly and I were talking, and um, I think we're ready for a new build again. We have built two homes. Um, I was counting, and I think in our first 17 years of marriage, we lived in 14 homes. We've done new builds, we've done renovations. Um, this house is by far the oldest house we've ever lived in. This house is 122 years old. Uh, and we're almost finished with everything we want to do with it. So it might be time to build a new house, and that could be in Northern California, I guess. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying right now I'm kind of feeling called. Our parents are aging, not just mine but hers too. While I was back there, I didn't visit all of my family on Kimberly's side, just the ones who have little ones. Well, that's not true. I visited one family that they're all big kids, but um, I would I love my nieces and nephews, and I love to be around them, and we haven't been for so long. So, fortunately, I have sisters-in-law and brothers-in-law that work really hard to keep us involved, though we are 2,800 miles away. Cakespoo, what age did you realize that about regret and fear of failure? Well, when did I realize that? Probably in my 30s. Probably in my 30s. Because I wasn't doing it on purpose. I was doing it subconsciously. Um, I may have even been in my early 40s that, like, you know what, Gavin, you really haven't done anything really hard. Uh, you know, when I was in flight school, I was a very good student. It was coming to me naturally, which is the reason why I stuck with it. Again, had it been hard, I would have quit. But ground school was easy for me. Flight school was easy for me. Flight training was easy for me. And it just felt like a natural extension of my arm, just like all the things that I've operated over my life. It just felt like, oh, this is an extension of me. Uh, I was, so typically the minimum for a private certificate with the FAA in terms of hours flown is 40. And that's actually quite a lot of hours, believe it or not. That's a lot of time in the air. And of course, that's divvied up into it has to be this many of that kind of flying, this much of that kind of flying, so forth, right? So most people don't get it at 40. And most people get it way past that, unless they're in a commercial program where they're working toward being a commercial pilot, then they do it as fast as I did. But I did it quickly. And I was flying every day, which helped. Every day, like it was probably 5 days a week at least. So that perfect practice makes perfect, right? So I think I took my FAA check ride at 41 and a half hours, which I thought was pretty good. So I get in my check ride, and the FAA examiner is a nice guy. I had never met him before. He has me do all the stuff. He puts the blinders on me, he puts the plane all over the place, and I have to get it into a straight and level flight, and you know, uh, controlled stalls and spin stalls and navigation. He's doing all the things that he's testing me on. This is about a 2-hour flight. the last thing that we had to do was controlled airspace. And so we flew into Sacramento Executive Airport, and we just had the bad luck that I was in a slow plane. I think I was in a Cessna 172 with a fast plane in the pattern behind me, and I had an unsure air traffic controller. And he kind of kept hemming and hawing what I think he should have done. I turned onto the base leg, and he should have had that faster aircraft. I think that was a twin Cessna, like a 421 or something like that. He should have had him extend the downwind leg so that I had time to turn base and final and land. But by the time I turned base, that airplane was right on me. So he asked me to extend base, execute a 270 for final on whatever runway that was. I can't remember. I had no idea what he was talking about. Nobody in the history of my 41 and a half hours of flying had ever given me that instruction. I had no idea what to do, and it failed me because as soon as I made the wrong move, the examiner goes, "My aircraft, I'm sorry, I have to fail you." And then when we get on the ground, he was like, so I'm 25 years old. He's like, "Listen, that has never happened. I've never heard that instruction, but it is a valid instruction. So sorry you failed." And I could not believe it that I had failed at something at the very end. The very end. And it actually caused me to not even want to try again. Like if it was possible for me to not pass on the second time around, that would just destroy me. So about a week later, I get a call from that examiner, and he's like, "Hey, you haven't rescheduled your flight." I kind of hemmed and hawed, and he could tell what was happening. He goes, "No, you can't stop now. You must finish this flight." And so I went up to the Auburn airport where he had a plane. I rented a different plane, but got to hang out with him and understand that he was just a regular old pilot like everybody. And he and I flew over to Mather Field, which was controlled airspace. But he basically flew the aircraft. He took off. He pointed the aircraft. He navigated all the way to Mather Airfield, got into the pattern, got into final, and he was probably 50 feet off the ground when he said, "Your plane." I grabbed the yoke, I landed, executed a touch and go, took off about 50 feet above the ground again. He said, "My plane." And we went back. He flew us back to Auburn, said he passed. There was just that one thing flying in controlled airspace that I need to have. And I am so glad. I am so glad that he made me do that. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have without that pressure. But yeah, I was at least in my 30s, maybe my 40s when I realized that about myself. Susan says your kids definitely know you love them. No one who hears you talk about them has any doubt about that. They are the best. If you could only eat one food the rest of your life, what would it be? Chinese food. Kung Pao chicken. Easy. It's an easy question. Dell says, "I donated my hair recently. I was inspired by you and your current hair project." Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. Autumn's got all these questions. What are 3 words to describe yourself? Like a 3-word phrase or 3 individual phrases? Happy, content, and I don't know. Happy, content, motivated right now. I'm motivated. Wow. Got a lot of Robin favorite concert. So unlike Mooney, I have not been to 1,000 concerts. I honestly enjoy recorded music way better than live music. I've been to a few. I've been to several, and I've been to some memorable ones. But maybe my favorite concert, is that my favorite concert? I don't know. It's kind of, I guess my first concert would be my favorite concert, Heart. They are playing again in Northern California, by the way. While I was driving, I was listening to 96.9 The Eagle because I was in my mom's car. She does not have Bluetooth because my mom has like a mafia mobile from the early 2000s. No judgment on that. My car that I drive is a 2004 and I will not give it up. But anyway, I was listening to the radio, and for that station's 30th anniversary, they are doing Heart in concert, which would be awesome. Laura says Aerosmith has been the soundtrack of her life. Yeah. Susan says, I thought you were going to say, well, I was in a band in college where I played all the instruments, so that was my favorite band. I've never been in a band. No, never been in a band. Uh, I play some instruments, not terribly well, not well enough to be in a band. That's funny. I feel as though you're much older in your music taste than your actual age. Yeah, I am. I am. I I pretty much don't listen to anything past about maybe 2000, probably. Ooh, Prince. I forgot to say Prince. Prince. What kind of Gen Xer am I? I don't even say Prince. Um, Floyd. Somebody brought that up. Music is what feelings sound like. Yeah, you're not kidding. You are not kidding. Queen. Yeah. Carrie Sullivan. I let my hair and beard go for 6 years down to below my belt. Loved it. When granddaughter was getting married, I cut it all off. It embarrassed her. Started all over on beard. Barbara gives all the hair. Cool. Cool. Dell says, yeah, I did you hear about the lady found guilty yesterday for murder of husband number 5? She had moved something like 39 times and they're looking into the death of her other husband, fiancés. Yeah, I did see that. It's like an insulin overdose. Crazy. Our kiddos range in age from 24 to 10. We have the great hiatus between children 3 and 4. Almost 10 years between them. All right. I think we might be getting to the end here, guys, which would be good because we're at an hour and 20 minutes. Cakes Boo, I'm happy to answer the questions. That's what we're here for. Valeria, Emma, 777. Oh, okay. This is listen, I am going to read your comment, but listen. I was going through my old things today, and my daughter, one of our daughters, came up, and I was showing her how funny it was. So when I was in Argentina, I was on a religious mission, right? So I wasn't really into politics, pop culture, stuff like that. But I wanted a record of what was going on in Argentina. And so people would give us magazines or whatever, and I would take clippings of those magazines and I put them in a big binder full of just stuff, right? So at the beginning, it's like, okay, here are people who are entertainers, here are people, politicians, and then it starts like turning into like beautiful women. It's like Andrea del Boca, Marta Sanchez. There were so many, like Shusha, right? and, and then it gets to Valeria Massa, and then it just continues being Valeria Massa for the rest of the entire thing. Like, so funny. I was a kid. I was 19, 20 years old. Anyway, okay. Valeria Emma says, Gavin, I've been watching every single video on Maddie. You've done such an amazing job. Thank you so much for what you do for her memory. She deserves so much more. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for watching those videos. Yeah, we're getting to the end. If you had the opportunity to be immortal, would you take it? Autumn, have you seen The Good Place? It's a show that was on NBC. They did 4 seasons of it, and it is brilliant. Brilliant. You got to watch The Good Place if you haven't seen it. In The Good Place, which is this whole idea that when you die, you either go to the good place or the bad place, right? What they find in The Good Place is that because it's just an eternal party, they all of the people from history that were hanging out in the good place were they had no purpose, and so they were losing themselves, right? And I think that's true. I think that mortality is important in order for us to live a full life. If we did not have to worry about death, I don't think that we would be good people. So, no, I do not think I would take it. Coming back to crime. Gavin, what do you think is the biggest development in criminology? I think it's digital forensics. Even more than DNA. I think it's digital forensics is the biggest development in criminology. But yeah, that's it. Okay, guys, we made it through every one of your questions, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thanks for spending this like hour and a half with me, hour and 20 minutes with me. I appreciate everything that you guys do for me, watching and sharing and subscribing. I've noticed there are a lot of people who have joined Patreon recently. I think that might have a lot to do with Ellen Greenberg, but I'm so grateful for your support. I'm grateful for your support of my mods and everybody too. You guys keep things freaking classy, man. Freaking classy. So thanks for that. And thanks to my mods for making sure that we do. So, yeah, with that, I shall bid you adieu. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Wrong button. Please hold. There. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.